Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Creator Mobile Stunt Show set, and it's a 3-in-1, so there are 3 official build options. I will show you all 3 of those in this one video, but I am going to start out with this main build here, the featured build, because it is, in my opinion, by far the most interesting, and it does use all of the pieces included in the set. The main truck here, the big one, the carrier, is built to a compatible scale with the big truck from the Fairground Mixer set, the previous Creator set. You have a 8-stud wide build for that tractor cab, a cab over design, and they use a couple of the more recent tile shapes on the front to good effect. The build of this is nice. It has a fair amount of studs on the side construction, but I feel like everything comes together pretty well. I'm happy with how all the parts and all the different shapes come together. There's a little bit of offset with the steps, which up to the cab, which I think is actually nice. I don't know, I like that little bit of extra texture. Of course, there are no stickers in a Creator set, at least not the regular Creator sets these days. So those are just prints, and those are parts that we've had around for quite a while. It is a sleeper cab, and I'll show you the interior a little bit later on. But first I want to get to the stuff back here. I will show you the monster truck that it's carrying separately, as needs to be done, but I want to show you how all of this stuff back here transforms, how this really becomes a stunt show. It's not just a truck that's carrying a monster truck out to a show. This actually is part of the ride, if you will, or part of the attraction. So, stuff that comes off. These wheel chocks, just move out of the way. You can use them for something else if you want. There actually is a good use for them. This is going to be a base for a floodlight stand, and this is a bank of lights here. And the stand, you get these trusses that can be, actually I think it should be set right there. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of kind of tripod action with that. And there's another one on the other side right there. Pull that out. Still looks like a truck though. It's not like we're disassembling the truck itself, you know, the core part of it, to create something new. And wow, those lights just stand way up, way up there. They're so tall. But the stand is stable enough. If you want to make it more stable, instead of using the little tripod down here, you can actually use these down for its base. But there's more here, of course. This little tailgate section, well, first of all, I should point out that you can use that to offload the monster truck. So this can just fold out, and the monster truck has, you know, large enough tires that it's able to go over this little end bit here. Okay, but it's not quite ideal like that. However, it's really designed to be its own attraction, its own thing. This has stands that come down. They've got rubber bits at the end, which will hold that in place. And there you go. You have a ramp that can be used by the monster truck as part of the show, as part of the stunt show. But it definitely gets better than that, because this also comes down. So this can also be used for loading and offloading the monster truck onto the carrier if you want. You know, bring it up to here, put the wheel chock, the yellow wheel chocks in at that point. You know, you can have some pretty realistic play with it in that sense. But this is rolling back and forth. That's not good. No worries. More wheel chocks. These are ones that actually work with the carrier this time. They've got the rubber kind of feet on there, and you put those around front or rear tires. I think the rear is actually, if you put it under the front, so it'll have to lift it up a little bit, but now that holds itself in place relatively well. And now this works as a proper ramp. So you don't just get onto the bed, you actually jump all the way over the entire truck. And then if you want to, you can line up this as a landing ramp. It might not be at an ideal angle, because it's, you know, it's a relatively shallow angle here, but that's it. That is the stunt show. Those are the components of the stunt show that you build from this truck, and I think it all works. You can play with it, and I think it looks pretty good, and certainly the build is enjoyable. It feels good to be able to put all this stuff together using just basically regular pieces, and to have all these transforming features and to have it minifig compatible, this is pretty good. I said I was going to get back to the sleeper cab. All of this comes off, the entire roof just comes off as one assembly. It's fairly solid actually. And inside, you do have room for 2 figures to sit there side by side. Got a center armrest there, or console. Got a glass area underneath, or acrylic, but it's mostly just standing up. I think that was supposed to not really be visible there. It's just part of the structure. Of course, you have to have room for a coffee mug. It's good that they included that. Gear shift lever, just one single one. And there's the sleeper cab area back there with the bed. They've given it a little bit of decoration with the painting on the wall or photograph, and they also have a TV, flat screen TV, so you can watch some TV while you're getting ready to take some Z's, or if you're just relaxing. So yeah, it's got enough detail, maybe even a little bit more than it needs at a bare minimum. And then the monster truck is just a 4-stud wide build, which is very compatible in scale with some of the Lego City line monster trucks that have been made in recent years. The tires are just outside the width of the body, which looks fine. It has some kind of frame detailing and or shock detailing. You've got the very large exhausts on the side, which are intended to spew flames. They're supposed to be extra flashy. And you got the flag on the back. And the best thing about this, to me, is the working suspension. It uses the white rubber band and only one of those, but it works so well. There's so much mechanical advantage working against that it's actually really soft. And look at this. You can feel the suspension side to side. It's 4-wheel independent suspension in such a small space. That's really, really good. And the rubber band doesn't really stand out too much. I mean, yeah, you see it, but it's kind of nice and close in there. Doesn't clash with the colors, and it just feels good because you can really, run over bumps and stuff, and you can just see that suspension action happening. If you run over rough terrain, a kid can just hold this and just watch that happen. That's exactly what I want to see with suspension in a toy or in a model of any sort. If it's going to work, let it actually work. Let it be soft enough. And this holds the whole thing up. There's maybe a little bit of droop in the front, just a little bit, which is cool. It's just pretty perfect how that's set up, actually. I'm a big fan of suspension, especially in toys and models, and this is it's just as close as you can get to perfect. And it doesn't use any really specialized pieces or anything, so I'm really happy that Lego has done that. Inside, steering wheel, that's pretty much it. Room for a single figure to sit in there, and that's all you need. The set comes with just 2 minifigures. I would love to have seen 3 figures for a set of this size with this many pieces, but this is fine. It's appropriate. You can put both figures in the cab side by side of the carrier, and that works out just fine. Have one be the driver of the big truck, one be the driver of the other big truck, and yeah, it just works. And I think these figures are appropriate for what they are. I like the kind of mix between driver and mechanic for the guy on the right, so you can be doing both, taking both roles. I only wish there was a hairpiece included for the driver of the monster truck as well. Preferably something short, short-haired, so you could actually swap the heads back and forth between them, have them, swap their roles, who's driving what. But yeah, that one piece, just one hair piece, would have made this even more playable, more customizable. So let's look at one of the other official build options. As always, you can only build one of the official build options at a time with the pieces from a single set, so you can't have these and the 2 trucks at the same time. But this gives us 2 dragsters and a finish line for a drag strip. And I really like this alternate build because it is very different, and yet it still stays with the racing theme or the motorsports theme. And these two vehicles look like they would race against each other. They look like they are from the same class, from the same basic rule set, and yet they are distinctly different. A lot of things are different between the two. Ultimately, they're made from spare parts. They're made from random parts from a set that was designed to be a hauler and a monster truck. And I appreciate how far away from that they went, and yet how complete these two look. So you get different canopy styles, or cockpit styles, different engine styles completely. They tried to use many of the little detail pieces as they could back there, and they did it. This one on the left uses the white wheels. The one in the background uses the gray wheels. The one in the background has more of a smooth finish on the top, but it has the narrower windscreen. This one is a little bit rougher on the outside, has a little bit of texture. It has the wider windscreen. It just completely works, and it reminds me of how you see actual differences and have seen actual differences in dragsters that are competitive with each other in real life. You can bring the wing all the way down like this if you want, and that works for both of them. You can bring it up like this if you just want it to be higher up, and then you can also mess with the angle. That's just good for imaginative play. Put that wherever you want. Just imagine adjusting the aerodynamics, the downforce, and yeah, this just works. The only thing that doesn't work here is with the figures, and unfortunately, I said I wish there was just one more piece included in the set, one hair piece. Well, now I wish there was one hair piece plus another helmet and visor, so 3 pieces in total, because then these two figures could safely race against each other. As it is, one of them has to have a cap, and that's not safe. These things look like they're going to be really, really fast. So yeah, I do wish there now were 3 additional pieces, so you can have 2 other options for setting up the head coverage for the figures, and that would have helped with both of these builds, the main one and the secondary one. Though just really fun, a really nice reuse of those parts, and yeah, I like it. Let's check out the final build. Now, how I said I wish there were just 3 more pieces in this set? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't need any more pieces now. This final alternate build gives us a classic tow truck. Kind of reminds me of, I want to say a mid to late 1950s Chevy, I think, the tow truck, and then a hot rod. Okay, again, sticking with the motorsports theme, I think that the figures work perfectly fine with this build, actually probably even best with this build, better than with the other options. And, each of these looks a little bit blocky, a little bit random, a little bit old school, but you do have to keep in mind that this is a tertiary build. This is not even an alternate build, this is an alternate build. And given that, and given the parts constraints, I think that the designer has once again done a very good job here. I think this is a good set of builds. These are worthy things. I think they give good suggestions to kids of just how much you can change up your own set by using pieces in different ways. I think taking the top off of that makes it into an awesome looking little roadster. It's got the big inlet on the front. I think I might even like it better as a roadster, and I'm not a top-down kind of guy. I usually like hard roofs, but that actually kind of works for me. And then the tow truck actually has some moving parts, as you can pretty clearly see back here. This works pretty well. You can bring this up like so, and then just bring all that down there. That's nice movement. Right there, brings it right down to the ground, and then you can kind of tow this with it. So the towing action isn't that great, honestly. Kind of wants to come down to the ground, scrape just a little bit right there. It's not the worst thing, but it works well enough. It doesn't turn very well. You can't win them all, but the basic idea is there. And I think with a little bit more modification, something done to the underside of this, I think it could be made to work even a little bit better still. But just having that kind of Technic mechanism in there in this build, I think is a really good thing. And I think the truck is off to a good start towards being a good looking build. As it is right now, like I said, of course, it is a bit blocky, especially around the fenders. And you get a lot of studs on the outside, but the designer, again, made good use of studs on the side construction to try to use up those pieces and try to make this as complete as reasonably possible. So I applaud the effort. There you got your single seat for a figure, just one figure. And I think it's good. I like the little overhang also of the front of the roof there. Got the side view mirrors sticking up. No working suspension on this one, but I'm okay with that. That was a good use of the five-sided tile piece there. Got the control over here for the boom. Yeah, this is pretty good. Not the greatest looking thing, but a good build. If you tried to do that from scratch, not having seen this, just thinking, okay, I'm going to make a tow truck from the parts in this set, guarantee you would realize just how difficult this is, and that would give you even more appreciation for the designer's work here. And this looks good as well. Could use a little bit more detail, but again, parts limitations. There's only so much you can do. I like the effort. I like what has been done here. And at the very least, it gives more ideas for just things that you can do with a pile of parts. So overall, this feels like a pretty successful, somewhat classic Lego Creator set. There's something that's a little bit old about it, and I guess it's just how plain a lot of these things look. Nowadays, Lego has so much detail and so much texture in their builds. I think we get spoiled, or at least I get spoiled. My eyes get spoiled. But I think that all the build work that goes on here is very good. It's a very wholesome building experience for each of the options. As far as the value is concerned, I'm glad that the price to part ratio for this is very good. It's much better than it could have been. Certainly, they could have sold this at a $60 US price point, and that would have made sense on the price to part ratio basis. But I'm glad that they didn't put it at 60 US. They put it at 50 US because the amount of stuff, that price to price to volume of stuff ratio, kind of subjective, difficult to quantify measure that I like to use, feels okay as it is. $50 for this much stuff of Lego feels okay, and then once you actually unfold all of that, then it makes a lot more sense. You have to focus on this because it does use all the pieces. That doesn't use all the pieces. That's not $50 worth of stuff. That's not $50 worth of stuff, but that just barely is. I would have preferred 45. Just if I saw this, didn't know how many pieces it came with, and was asked to put a price tag on it, I would have said 45. But 50 is close enough. And when you get into the actual work that went into this and the actual experience you get from building any of these, or all of them, if you want to go ahead and take it apart and redo each, is very good and is very valuable in my opinion. So I think the value is there with this set, and certainly it was a good effort all around in terms of the design. I appreciate it very much. And that's it for my thoughts about this one, and that's it for my look at each of those build options. I hope I showed you everything you wanted to see here with each of these. I don't think I missed anything, but I've got more work to do, so I'll be bringing you more videos very soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.